hopefully everybody was excited when they saw the title. It's pretty unusual for a company that charges people for digital marketing to say, hey, let's encourage you to spend less on digital marketing. But the reason we wanted to do this topic is because so many of our clients and so many prospective clients we reach out to, we see the same thing over and over and over and over again, which is they're wasting a ton of their dollars that they really don't need to be spending. They're getting no conversions, they're not getting leads, they're not making sales, but they're spending a ton of money. And that's just, the effort, it's kind of a futile effort. And so we said, you know what, we do this for our existing clients. We try to convince them to spend less money and get better results. So why don't we do a talk about it and see if we can help some other people who maybe aren't going to work with us or don't buy from us. Maybe this could still help them. So that was kind of the idea of today's talk. So I hope it helps you guys. And we're obviously going to focus on AdWords and SEO, which is what we do as a company. There's probably lots of other ways to spend less on digital, like better social media campaigns and all that, but that's not quite what we do, so we won't be talking about that today. But if you have any questions on that, feel free to let me know. We've got great referral partners who do social and stuff like that. Okay, so before we begin, I always like to start with a slide like this, just to judge the room so I know kind of who we're talking to. So we're raffling off a Chromebook for anybody who knows who the picture of that person is. Who wants a free Chromebook? Anybody know who that is?
Some really important guy.
Some important guy, yes, that is correct. That is judges. We're sorry, we can't accept that answer. Too general. First name and a last name. Anyone know who that is?
Sergey.
Yes, Larry Page, the person in the back. Very good. Yeah, so he's one of the founders of Google. There's two founders of Google. So whenever we do a talk with SEO experts, all the hands go up. Yeah, so we do it for fun. Okay, these terms on the side: backlink, organic versus ads, SEM versus SEO, PPC, CAC. Is there anyone in the room that no idea what some of those mean? Now's the time to tell us. So yes, hand in the front. Which ones do you guys need definitions for?
Backlink, CAC, and ROAS.
Okay, and this is why we do this, just so I don't use these acronyms and you guys are like, I have no idea what he's saying. We don't want it to be like a doctor's appointment where you just leave. You're like, just give me the meds, man. I don't know what you talked about. So a backlink is when you have a website. So here's website A, and here's your website. A backlink is when they put a link to your website on their website. So their site links back to your site. That's what a backlink is. And backlinks power the web. That's how the web is built and how it works. But oftentimes people don't know how they work. And they're critical to SEO. Backlinks are one of the #1 factors that powers SEO. And it has been since when Google was invented, Google was built. The actual name used to be Backrub before they changed it to Google. It was all about building a search engine that focused on backlinks and not keywords. So fun fact, fun trivia fact, if you're ever on Jeopardy. Okay, PPC is pay-per-click. CAC stands for customer acquisition cost. So if you're not tracking how much you actually spend to get a new customer, what oftentimes companies will track is, we spent $100,000 on this trade show and we got 85 leads. Yeah, well, great. How many of those actually turned into customers? And how much did you spend to get the people to the trade show? And did you do other marketing at the trade show? How much did you really spend to get each individual customer? So CAC is tracking your customer acquisition cost. So with SEO and AdWords, what we look at is what's your total expenditure on ads and SEO divided by the amount of customers you brought in, track those customers directly back to the mechanism they came from, and then you actually have an actual CAC. Like every customer we do SEO for, it costs us $650 to get a new customer using SEO. That would be a customer acquisition cost. So if your product, if you only sell a $50 monthly recurring product, you can't make money at those ratios, right? But if you're a law firm and your average litigation case is $50,000, you can spend $1,000 on your customer acquisition and be fine. Does that make sense? So you have to know your numbers, and you have to focus. That number really matters for how much you should spend on your digital. ROAS stands for return on ad spend. So it's just a basic term for when you're spending money on ads, whether it's AdWords or social media ads or any ad online, what's your actual return on the ad spend? So if you spend $2,000 a month on ads, what is your real return, and how are you measuring your returns? Right? Is it on conversions? Is it leads? Is it sales? Is it traffic? We wouldn't recommend traffic being a good metric, but that's actually you're measuring your direct return. What a lot of companies do is they just set a budget arbitrarily, right? We'll spend $2,000 a month on AdWords. Why? It's just what we feel comfortable spending. And then they don't really track the results, and so then they don't know if they're spending way too little, way too much. because they don't actually track the return. Make sense? Okay, if you guys have questions as we go too, if there's something I say in here, just shoot your hand up and we'll make fun of you. No, I'm just kidding. Shoot your hand up and we'll answer we'll define it so that we have I don't want you to go through the presentation and not know what something means. Sound good? Cool, let's keep going. Okay, so quick poll. 3 questions I want to ask you guys for your organizations. So first, have any of your guys' orgs continue to spend more money on marketing and not seen increased sales? Has that been something you guys have seen in the past at your companies? Seeing some heads nod. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about that today, but this is part of why we do this talk. It's because we see that with a lot of companies. They up their marketing budget, but their sales don't go up in a commensurate amount, and there's a reason for that. Number 2, have you seen a positive ROI from your digital marketing investments? So are there people in the room who are spending money on digital but not seeing that positive ROI? I see a couple heads nodding. There's a reason for that, but digital doesn't always work for every business, and it doesn't work if you do it the wrong way. Digital does have to be done really right for it to work, because it's technical, and it's also getting really competitive because everybody's doing digital now, right? So it's way harder to be good at it than it used to be 10 years ago when no one was doing it, right? Or very few people were doing it. And the third question I want to ask you guys, and these could be rhetorical, but if this is you, let us know. Have you spent money on digital and not seen a positive return? So this means you guys have been buying ads, you've done SEO, you've done social media, you built a new website, and nothing came from it? Are any of you guys in that bucket or have seen that at your companies? Yeah, so I see some heads nodding. Some heads doing this, the no, which is good. Yeah, so either of these 3, these are the reasons we're doing the talk. So sounds like there's some pain in the room. That's good. Okay, so this is a poll that was done. There's 604 respondents. And they asked the companies, does your organization have a clearly defined digital marketing strategy? So you can see 34% said, yes, we have digital strategy. It's integrated into our marketing strategy. It's going to be great. We're excited about this year. 17% said yes, but it's a different document, so that's probably not very well integrated. They're probably not tracking their customer acquisition costs and their ROAS very well. And over half, or 49%, said we're doing digital, but we have no strategy, right? We're just going for it. So what we always like in that too is going to the gym and having no plan. So you just kind of go, you move some weights around, you move a treadmill in one direction, and then you go home and you eat whatever you want and you never lose weight or gain muscle, right? And you wonder why does the gym not work for me? It's all steroids. Those guys are just taking steroids. No, they're probably doing it. They probably have strategy, right? They probably are also taking steroids, but that's another story. But they have a strategy that they're implementing that works, and you have to do the right things in the right time over a period of time. So how many, who thinks in this room they fall into the red category? Any hands? Don't be shy. I see a few hands. Okay, good. Good. Well, it's better to know, right? The first step to fixing is knowing where you are. Okay, so this is what we break the real issues down into, is to 3 categories. If you're not seeing a good return, or you want to see a better return on your ads or your digital marketing, here's the 3 things that it usually boils down to. So step 1, or issue 1, is not knowing which channels or mediums will actually work for your business. So I talk to a lot of marketing managers, and they'll say things like, well, Tim, trade shows have always worked for us. Why should we do SEO? Well, that's a tough thing to say, but trade shows have always worked, but there's not guaranteed they're always going to continue working. And just because trade shows work doesn't mean SEO won't, right? Doesn't mean social media won't. Just because you've never done it before doesn't mean it inherently won't work, right? But you've never done it before, so then you don't know that it won't work, right? Or you don't know that it will work because you've never done it. So a lot of this comes down to just not knowing what's going to work, so then people don't want to try it because they don't want to fail. They don't want to waste money. Does that make sense? So we see a lot of this. Here's how you fix number 1. Look at your biggest competitors, the people you want to be like, and copy exactly where they spend money on marketing. I read a really good book once called, I think it was Ready, Fire, Aim was the name of the book, called, I think it was Matt Matthewson or something like that. He had a really interesting name, had the same name in both his first name and last name, which must have been fun in middle school. But what he said in there is, he said when he was growing up in business, he learned that oftentimes the best marketing strategies that he could use were the ones his direct competitors were using successfully, because they'd already figured out what worked, right? So if your competitors are using TV ads will probably work for you too, because people are proving to buy the product from that mechanism. So picking whatever your biggest competitor uses as their biggest marketing channel, you should copy it because it probably will work for you too. You should also test new things, right? Because they may not be always cutting edge, but at least you know that there's proof those are going to work. Does that make sense? Yeah. Number 2 is not tracking your marketing dollars all the way to paying clients. This is a huge mistake people make all the time. We talked about like with the trade show, but if you, well, we'll back up this way. How many, like in the room, how many of you guys feel like your companies are really, really, really good about tracking your marketing dollars from the minute they're spent to actually pinpointing those dollars to a real paying client? Does anyone feel like their company's really good at that? I see no hands. Does anyone feel like their company's kind of good at that? Oh, yes, our company. Thank you, Endel. Yes, a hand goes up in the back. Our company. All right, good. Oh, we're doing something right. So Mark, I think we had a hand up because you guys are a CRM company, so you're obviously using CRM to track, which is good. Anyone's company feel like you're not very good at that? So you're more, it's more the spray and pray. Put the marketing out there and just kind of hope it works and just see what happens. Yeah, so most companies use the spray and pray or the shotgun approach, right? We put marketing everywhere out there and we just hope something comes back. And what happens is things do come back, and so you're like, oh, okay, good. And you get bigger, but then you don't know what worked, and then it's like, oh, well, now we don't know what to spend more on, so let's just hire more salespeople, right? You've probably all heard that before. Okay, so a couple things I say here, and if you're specifically fighting with a boss on this one, you know, where you're arguing like, we should track everything, like, no. Here's the 2 things to tell them. If you're not using technology to track your sales, how will you ever know what's really working? Because half of all marketing dollars are wasted, so wouldn't you like to know which half is wasted? So boss, Bob, you can save half of the money on marketing because we'll know what's not working. We can cut that part. And then the other half you can give to me to increase the budget on what is working. Right? Just don't say that part. So number 2 is, how can you test new things effectively if you don't track? Right? So if you're not tracking actually what brings you new clients, how do you try a new test and know if it did anything? Because you might try a test and then something else brought results like a trade show and you're like, oh, you know, it must have been the trade show. No, what if it was this new test you tried? Right? If you're not tracking everything, there's no way you could know. Does this make sense? So tracking is like super important. And with digital, you can track everything. And then the third one is just simple fear, uncertainty, and doubt at the executive level. Has anyone ever had the conversation where you go into your boss's office and you really want to try this new marketing initiative and they just said, we're not going to get clients that way. No one is going to buy from us using that thing. I don't believe in whatever it is, Facebook, Google, the internet, the future. Right? Anyone ever had that conversation and get shot down and then you go back home? Yeah, I see some hands. And so that's just at the executive level, they just didn't believe that source would bring new clients, and so it was just shot down, right? Which is, we always say, like, always try the test, at least do a small test and just see how it works, right? Okay, any questions here so far? No? Okay. All right, I do apologize because this topic is like kind of technical. There's going to be a lot of, I'm breaking the rules of PowerPoint. It's supposed to have like one big picture and no, like, what is it, 10 or less words. I'm breaking all of those rules because I wanted to like give the good detail. But anyway, sorry, but there'll be a lot of text on the slides. So let's dive into Spending Less 101. Okay, so when we talk about spending less, we're going to, for today's time, because we only have an hour, we're going to focus on SEO and AdWords, right? So when I talk about SEO, everyone's clear what I mean now, right? Ranking in the natural organic section, and ads means AdWords at the top. Okay, so we'll stay niche here. The reason we focus on search is because, I mean, in the room, who hasn't used Google search in the last week? Right, nobody. It's huge. It's a huge mechanism. So social media matters, but just a quick poll, just so I know, how many of you guys are in a B2C focused business to consumer? Okay, about 10. How many of you guys are in B2B focused businesses? Wow. Okay, most of them are like 30 some plus. Okay, so obviously the mechanism matters differently for B2B versus B2C. The keywords you go for, the type of buying, the price point, that all matters. But organic and ads work really well for both, right? Like social media is harder to pull off for B2B than it is for B2C, right? Like Lululemon sells a lot of yoga pants using social media. Most industrial lubricant manufacturers sell nothing via social media because no one goes to LinkedIn or Pinterest to look for like, can't wait to see the new industrial lubricant that just came out. I want to go check my Pinterest wall, you know, like no one does that. But they'll go to Google and they'll search like, you know, industrial lubricant XYZ data sheet, and then there'll be this new PDF and like, oh, you know, check out this new lubricant that doesn't catch on fire when the windmill spins too fast, right? And like, that's interesting. But that's a really niche. Is this making sense? right? Okay, that's why we focus on search, is because every business needs it. It's super important. Okay, so the first thing we want to say is we recommend you combine your SEO and your AdWords strategy. So don't have them be two totally different strategies. What a lot of companies will do is they'll actually have one company managing their AdWords, one doing their SEO, or they do their SEO in-house and another company does their AdWords, and their strategies are like completely different, which is a really, really good way to waste money because there's no synergy between the two, okay? That's the first step we say is combine them because they actually are supposed to work together. The ads run at the top and they get 10% of the clicks, but you're targeting the same keywords and the same users. So having two different strategies there, which is, by the way, really common, is a bad idea. Combine them. They should work together. What AdWords is really good for is for buying immediate traffic to your website, because when you turn on AdWords on Tuesday, they start running on Wednesday and you get traffic right away. SEO takes a lot longer. When you start to work on your website, you're on page 8, then you're on page 6, then you're on page 4, then you're on page 2. It takes months, but AdWords is instant. So it's instant results, right? AdWords is also really good for testing new keywords. So if you have a keyword, you're like, I really think we'd sell more of our product if we ranked for this keyword. You should use AdWords first to run, spend $300 and try buying that keyword for a couple weeks and see if you make any sales, versus spending thousands of dollars in months doing SEO to find out you rank for that keyword, and then the people who call you are like really cheap and want to spend nothing on your product. Does that make sense? We've seen that all the time. So use AdWords to test if you're not sure first, right, before you dive into SEO, because SEO is a bigger commitment. Okay, so here's the detailed plan we're gonna go to in depth. So, and if any of you guys are wondering, so I told Brian in the back of the room, we're helping them a little bit on some of this. This is gonna sound very familiar to you. So this is the exact strategy we use at our company. So if a client works with us, this is literally what we do for them. So we're giving you the $1 million secrets here. And there's nothing held back, but this is exactly how we do it for our exact clients. So there's nothing here that'll, it's not what we actually do ourselves. So the first step in the plan is you want to start with really good keyword research. So the keywords matter a ton because that's where you're going to focus all of your energy on what you're going to be optimizing for. So picking the right keywords is critical, okay? We're going to talk about this in more detail, but you want to look for what's called a purchasing keyword versus a researching keyword. We'll talk about what that means in a minute. 3 is you want to pick your top purchasing keywords, and you want to make sure you have enough search volume so that you're not targeting only 50 searches a month, which is just not going to bring enough clients to your site, right? So you want to pick good keywords and make sure they're big enough, where you can actually bring enough people to your business, right? To give you percentages that people are going to actually buy. Then you want to build high quality landing pages on your site that are going to really be well optimized for those landing pages. For those keywords, so that they rank really well in Google. You also can build ads to those. So you build individual pages on a site, or you re-optimize pages that you already have, called repurposing, right? And then the final step is you build backlinks to those pages for SEO, which we'll talk about in a minute, and then you create ads to those pages for AdWords. Okay? So we'll talk about it in detail, but this is the 5-step plan to combining SEO and AdWords, and we'll talk about how it's going to save you a ton of money. All right. So step 1, keyword research. Has anyone in the room tried to do their own keyword research before? Some hands, okay. Successfully, unsuccessfully, happily, unhappily, right? So we think keyword research is actually really, really fun. It's pretty scientific. There's a lot of data behind it. So when you use Google Keyword Planner, you can literally look up any search volume for any keyword in any city or any zip code. It's amazing. The data is incredible. So the first thing we recommend is when you're going to do your keyword research, back up before you think about the keyword and try to figure out the buying journey of your customer, right? Because there's Google, but before there's Google, there's the person with their phone, right, who's going to buy your product. What's their buying journey? Why are they going to their phone and typing in, legal services or industrial lubricants or healthcare device manufacturer or whatever the keyword is, right? Why are they searching that term? What's their pain? Why do they buy from you? Who do you not want to buy from you, right? Think through that first, because that'll help you as you look through the keywords. And then you start to Google the keywords. You can look at the results that rank on the pages and be like, oh yeah, these are not the people we compete with. This is not what I probably want to rank for. Does that make sense? So you think about your buying journey. So that's the very first step. Here's the 3 tools we use. Where's my mouse? All right, yeah. Google Keyword Planner, Longtail Pro, and SEMrush. Those are the 3 tools we use for keyword research. Keyword Planner is by far the best. It has a great data, but the other ones have their own uses as well too. We use them as well. They'll really help you figure out a huge amount of keywords you can narrow down from. Okay, so let's talk now about the, we'll just keep going here. So which keywords do they search when looking to buy something versus researching? So remember we talked about the researching keywords versus purchasing keywords, right? So I'll show you guys something cool with this. All right, so let's say that I wanted to buy a new car, okay? So if I just searched new car, right? All right, wow, now I got all these little images up here. That's a bunch of different types of cars. I've got an ad up here for True Car, but I only have 2 ads. That's kind of surprising. There's a Ferrari, there's like a F1 Ferrari. I'm probably not buying that. It's probably not street legal. It's not good for Cincinnati winters, you know, that's probably not gonna make sense. So let's say I go back and then I search luxury cars, okay? Maybe I put a date. Maybe I'm like 2018. Let's see what's new in 2018. Okay, so Lexus is up here. Now we've got 3 ads. We've got all this news. I'm not sure why it's only Lexus. Then you've got the organic down here. That's interesting. You notice how there's more ads all of a sudden? There's more advertisers buying this keyword. Then what if I search best luxury sedans 2017, right? No, let's do 2018. Okay. We've got all these images up here which are automatically factored in. We've got 3 more ads. We've got a bunch of organic. If we were to go to Keyword Planner as we look through this journey, and then let's say that I typed in, I decided on a BMW and I said a BMW 5, let's say a BMW 440 Xi price, right? This ad, what BMW is going to be willing to pay for this keyword is going to be much higher than they're going to be willing to pay for just new car or luxury car. Why? Because it's so specific, I'm getting really close to buying this car because my journey has now brought me to a car, a type, a model, and I want to know the price. I'm way closer to my purchase than I am at the very beginning where I'm just searching new car. So everyone clear on research keywords versus purchasing keywords? Does it make sense to everyone why focusing on a purchasing keyword is going to be a lot closer to the decision of them buying, so it's going to be you're going to get a lot faster return on your money. Also, you're going to convert a lot more of those people. Does that make sense? Therefore, you can spend less money on AdWords and SEO, and you can get more sales right away. Is that all so far registering with everybody? Heads nodding, yes, good. Okay, so one thing we say, take your time here. Don't rush keyword research, because if you pick the wrong keywords, all the rest of the process is going to break. You got to pick good keywords, because if you focus on the wrong ones and you get traffic, but you're not making conversions, it's probably because of the keywords. Could be because of your website, but take your time. Like, really spend time on keyword research, like think it through. So let's talk about landing pages. So once you've done your keyword research and you've got, okay, we've got our keywords picked. These are our good ones. We've got our purchasing keywords. We've got our researching keywords. Now we want to do the landing pages. So let's just quickly define a landing page. So a landing page doesn't have to be, one of those AdWords pages you go to that, has no navigation that you can't click out of. There's like, you can only fill out the form or you have to go back, right? That's not the only landing page. The definition of a landing page is what you land on the site from Google, like from another search engine, or it's the page you land on. So it doesn't have to be one of those landing pages. You can just create a new page on your website. If you have a WordPress website or Joomla or Drupal or whatever CMS you have, you can just go build new page and create a new page about your new keyword, right? So if your keyword is bourbon brands, what CMS do you use? Drupal. So you just go into Drupal, add new page, and then you just build a new page. It doesn't have to be this like special ad landing page, and that throws people off a lot of times. Like, oh, well, we have navigation on these pages. Like, that's okay. It's actually better. People don't like to be stuck on those landing pages. They can't go anywhere else on the site. That's actually a bad user experience. It has its purpose, but it's not the standard that we use, unless it's for a very specific ad campaign. So a landing page just needs to be a new page on your website, and when you build the page, here's the rules. Number 1, take the keyword. The keyword should be the general idea of the new page, right? So if it's an industrial lubricant, the page should be industrial lubricant or the special type of industrial lubricant or whatever. Put it in the page title, put it in the URL, so www.yoursite.com/keyword, right? It's pretty simple, right? Put it in the headline, so the big headline at the top of the page. Make sure that keyword's in the headline, and it doesn't have to be the only thing in the headline, but make sure it's up in the headline. And then put it in the content, right? So you want the page to generally be all about that keyword. it can say a lot of other things as well too, and it should, but you want to get the keyword in those main places. Those are like really important places that Google looks at. Also, you want to make sure your content's longer than the top ranking page that's currently ranking for that keyword, because Google really prefers long form content. So if you look at the top ranking one and there's like 1,200 words on the page, don't write a 300-word article and like hope it works out, because it won't, right? Google wants to see longer content typically at the top. HubSpot did a survey last year, and they found that the top ranking blog posts typically had 2,500 words or longer. Yeah, it's long. So we use a tool called SEMrush that has this thing called an SEO content template tool. It's not free, but it's really powerful. And what it'll do is it'll look at the top 10 search results and spit out, here's the keyword to use, here's the best places to get backlinks from, here's how long your page should be. You know, it should be exactly 731 words, whatever. It's pretty cool. And it tells you literally exactly what to write. So you're not like, should it be 1,200 words, 1,500? It'll tell you how long to do it. But typically, just look at your top competitor, look how long their page is, and write a longer page. It's that simple. Okay. One last point. I'm gonna skip ahead for the sake of time. When you're building your landing pages, the days of like writing garbage SEO posts that are just like use the keyword every five words, like please stop doing that. If you're doing that, please stop. If you're not doing that, please don't ever do that. Write pages that actually add real value to your user, because that's what Google cares about and that's what they're continuing to build towards. So when you're going to write this landing page, you want it to be SEO optimized, but you also want it to like really add value. So think about this page when you're going to write it, like what can I actually write on this keyword that like would really help the user who comes to my website? Because I want them as a lead, but they want content. They don't care about becoming a lead for me, right? They care about content. So give them something really good. Give them a really helpful research report or article or data or graphics or infographics or something, videos. Give them something really helpful. If you help them, they'll repay the favor by filling out your contact form or calling you, right? Okay. So on the SEO front, okay, we talked about those backlink things. They're really important, like really important. Backlinks are probably 60 to 70% of where you rank in Google in the organic section. So once you have a landing page, that's good, but you can't just stop there. This is where a lot of people stop. They build a new page, they do the keyword research, they create it, and they're like, sweet, and they publish it, and they're like, we're good to go, right? Has everyone else ever done that? And then never saw that? Did you ever see it go to spot one? No. And the reason why is because it didn't have links. So Google looks at two things. One is relevance, and one is authority. So relevance is putting the keyword on your pages, getting it in the title tag. How relevant is this page for this keyword, right? Is it all over the page? Is it in your title, your URL? But then it also looks at authority. How authoritative is it? Well, if you have no backlinks, then no one links to this page. Your content must be pretty meh, because no one links to it. And links are the kind of the first upvote in Google, right? So if you link to the page, then Google's like, oh, wow, all these people are linking to this page. It must be really good. So now your authority goes up. And if you have relevance and authority, you rank, right? So don't just build pages and not build links to them. We don't have time to cover this today, but like I said, I'll send you the PowerPoint. Here's the best places to get links: press releases, trade show relationships, borrow your competitor's backlink strategy. There are tools for that. Find out where they're getting links from and borrow those same ideas, right? i.e. just figure out what they're doing that's working and steal their ideas. Guest blog post, infographics, and any website that could benefit by linking to you. Think about those relationships. Who would benefit by linking to you? Who would help their users? Call them and try to get a link from them, right? Best place to get links. Okay. So in our last couple minutes while we wrap up, let's chat about AdWords in a little bit more detail. Just like I said, it's going to be a little bit more detailed today, but hopefully this will help you guys. So like we said, AdWords is really helpful for two things: buying immediate traffic to your site and testing new keywords. So if you're not sure if a keyword's a researching keyword or a purchasing keyword, back to your question, use AdWords for that. Use AdWords and set up a landing page, set up $300 a month in AdWords and drive traffic to it and see if you get good leads from it. If you don't, it's probably not worth optimizing for from the SEO side, right? So that's what we recommend. AdWords is really, really good for testing, because you can test on a low budget and there's no commitment. You can turn it off after 1 month if it's not working, right? Also, if you have businesses that are like, if any of you guys are at companies that are not sure if they want to do digital marketing, right? They're like, oh, we're not sure if we believe in digital marketing, or we've never really done it before. start with AdWords, because AdWords is super easy to turn on, see results, and prove value from, versus like trying to start with something that's a lot slower like social media. That's going to be a way longer journey to getting leads, right? Okay, once again, we talked about this. Focus your AdWords campaigns on your purchasing keywords. Purchasing keywords is a really important idea because if you focus on those for both SEO and AdWords, you're going to get a way better return. You can spend a lot less dollars. And then we typically recommend run your ads 5 to 7 days a week. Depends on when your buyers are going to be searching your keywords. Run them in your geographic market. And then the way you figure out your daily budget, which is what you have to set in Google, is you take your whatever the number is per month that you want to spend. So if it's $2,500 a month, you take that number, you divide it by 30.4, and that'll give you your daily budget for an average month. So anyway, has anyone in the room heard about quality score? Do you guys know about what quality score is? So quality score is basically the way Google determines which ads are at the top and which ads get the traffic and which ads don't. So quality score is like the SEO of AdWords, I guess, right? Like it's how they determine who's at the top. So quick quiz on or test information on quality score. It's not a quiz. There's no quiz at the end. Don't worry. There's a raffling a Chromebook for whoever gets the highest score on the quiz. Yeah. So I do want to teach you guys about this really quickly because it's something you should dig into and know more about if you want to be good at AdWords. But quality score is what really determines how much money you save in AdWords. Okay, so real simple. So if you guys see here, the smiley face is where you want to be, right? Yes, I know, groundbreaking. The frowny face is where you don't want to be. So what happens, so quality score goes from 1 to 10, 10 being the highest quality score, 1 being the lowest. And quality score is determined on 3 factors we'll talk about in a few minutes, but it's basically how good is your ad for the keyword someone's searching. So if I search best luxury car 2018, is your ad the very, very best ad that's the most relevant, that goes to the very best page? If Google thinks it is, you get a really high quality score. But if you have like a blog that talks about like, you know, SUVs and you try to rank for best luxury and Google's like, no, it's not really that close, and they give you a 4, what happens is Google takes your CPC and they multiply it by 1.25. And they actually make you spend 25% more for every click because your ad doesn't match your page. They penalize you, right? So the lower your score, if you have a 1, look at that, it increased by 400%. So if you're going after a $5 cost per click and you have a really bad quality score, which we've taken over for clients that have like 1s and 2s, you're literally, Google's charging you $20 a click to actually be on page 1. Isn't that nuts? Yeah, it's bad. Now check this out though. If you have a quality score of 9 and 10, you're discounted by almost 50%. So you could actually get $5 per click keywords for $2.50 if you have a really high quality score. Here's the good news. To get a really good quality score, you have to do a couple things. 1, you have to have really good keyword research, so you know you're going for keywords that make sense for your brand. 2, you have to build really good landing pages because Google looks at your landing pages, probably seeing a trend here. 3 is you want to make sure the page is really well optimized, so you have the keyword in the title, the URL, it's in the headline. Google looks at all of this stuff for quality score. So the better your page is optimized for Google, the higher your quality score is. Does that make sense? So by doing the exact same work, you not only rank way higher on Google in the organic, but you also spend way less money in AdWords because your quality score goes up drastically. So it's a 2 birds with 1 stone. And that's why the whole purpose of this talk is about if you do these couple steps, those 5 pieces in order, you'll spend way less money on AdWords and you'll get a lot more from SEO if you do these in the same approach. Okay, so last thing I'll show you guys. It gets complicated here, but we'll just keep it simple. Google basically gives you what's called an ad rank. So they take your CPC bid, they multiply your quality score and give you a number. So let's say you had a quality score of 10, which is the best, and you're gonna spend $5 a click. You would get a score of 50, okay? Then Google, the way they'll determine what you actually pay is they'll take your price, which is 50, or your ad rank. They'll divide by the ad rank of the person below you, okay? So the next best competitor, what's their ad rank? They'll divide by your quality score, then they add 1 cent, and that's what you actually end up spending. So your quality score and their quality score matter a ton because they're multipliers and dividers, which means they can decrease and increase the numbers substantially. So here's the big 3. For your quality score, you want to look at ad relevance, expected CTR, which is click-through rate, and your landing page experience. So as your landing page loads, does it take 6 seconds to load? Bad, right? Does it load in 1 second, 2 seconds? Click-through rate. You know, 1,000 people have to see your ad before one person clicks. That's bad, right? The better your click-through rate, the better your landing page experience, so it loads quickly, content's easy to read, Google looks at all that stuff, right? And then your ad relevance. Is your page optimized for the keyword you're going for? Those are the 3 things you have to do to get a better quality score. All right, so let's tie it together really quickly, wrap up. So with this strategy, you only need to build 5 to 10 new landing pages, but we've seen clients get a 500% ROI by using this exact strategy, because you can spend not that much money, right? You can spend a few grand a month on digital using this same approach, and you can bring in 10, 20, 30,000 a month in sales from new clients, because it's so condensed, it's so efficient. What we've seen here, we talked about the landing page provided a very high quality score. We have one client, we reduced their ad spend from $2,000 a month to $350 a month, and we increased their leads with that decrease. So they get now more leads with $350 than they did with $2,000 using this exact strategy. Because it's all about quality score, ad relevance, and the landing pages. Right, so it's pretty, like, that's a pretty big number. That's a huge decrease. We also talked about SEO will take effect. So as you're doing all this work, your pages rank higher, you get more leads from the organic section, which is like free money as well too. And the whole thing, you know, reduces costs, reduces time, improves results. Okay, so any questions on that so far? Anything? Okay, well, we'll wrap up. So everyone, thanks for coming out. It was a pleasure to have you. We'll stick around. Our team's also in the back as well. If I'm busy with someone, feel free to grab another Helium member if you have questions on stuff. And thanks for coming.